Yeah.
We have come to do an energetic exchange to for an offering to the world. You have a strong calling to offer the world as much as you are capable of allowing through you. We're trying to be precise with this because it's important for you to understand you and all humans are used as gateways of love, and information flows through you to the others. So you yourself don't have to show up as a human. Hello, I'm going to offer a gift to humanity, for you really don't have much to offer. You have a small life. But as you become a gateway, you have much to offer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important for you and all to understand that as you stand open and available for information and love to pass through you, you are of great service to mankind. And this is important for you to know. Yes, you are of service to mankind as you continue to open up yourself. And this is part of this energetic exchange. It is about allowing mankind access to that which they don't normally have a gateway on opening to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
There are many humans who can't find the door. They can't find the opening. So often they have to turn to humans to find their way beyond.
Mm-hmm.
And we will assure you that this situation is pure and clear love and opening, but not all are. Not all humans who are allowing information to pass through them are genuine.
Yes.
So you understand this.
Mm-hmm.
We wish for everyone to understand that they must check in for themselves when they hear information that is supposedly from the universe of love. As you check in inside, you will know if it resonates as truth for you because you are from the universe of love. So it's just a remembering. It's just, do you remember yesterday when you had a cup of tea? It's just a remembering like this. And if it's familiar to you, then you will go with it, go towards it. But if you drank coffee yesterday, you are repelled by it. You are pulled back from it. And this is important to notice. Humans know truth, their body, from the energy inside of them, they know truth. Their body will cease up if they hear something that is untrue for them, something that someone is trying to implant memories within you. And there's a resistance to this because you know there's something wrong with it. Even if you can't figure out exactly what it is, you can honor the part of you that says, there's something wrong with this. I must pull back from it. I must leave it or turn my back on it. It's not comfortable for me here. And it's important for humans to have this opportunity because there have been many times in human life, starting when they're small ones, where you have to do things that feel wrong to you. You see, when you're small and when you're being educated, you are being reprogrammed in a way that suits the trainer. But now it's time for humans to understand they are their own trainers. They are their own, they must check in with themselves for truth, not believe what others say. But unfortunately, there was a much conditioning at the small, younger times when you started to lose the information where you always knew what truth felt like. And you had to live a certain life where, oh, that's right, it feels wrong, but I must do it. So there's a certain, this is a dysfunction that happened, an interpretation of the small times and the schooling times where you had to do something that was not, that did not feel right for you, that did not resonate as truth for you. But those days are long past, and today each human must decide and honor the part of them that feels yucky if they get information that's incorrect for them. You are a little more familiar with this, but this message is for those you represent, that if it feels yucky, run far away, including this exchange, including this one. This one must always be included in this checking in for yourself to see if it feels right for you. And that includes you. Whenever you are feeling anything uncomfortable, you're quite willing to speak up. So therefore, others will know they too can speak up. You are representing them, you see. So if they have a feeling of yuckiness or something's inside that's not right, someone like you will say, that is not correct for me. You'll blurt it right out like this. But others won't. They'll keep it inside and they'll start to wonder if there's something wrong with them, if they heard it wrong. Maybe it's right and there's something wrong with me. They always think this way. But you will blurt out, that doesn't sound right. That's something wrong with that. So you are representing for them a way of communicating with non-physical that is perfectly appropriate. Always, always, always speak the truth, and the energetic exchange will come to its completion. There will be you, there'll be an exchange like this, and it will come somewhere. It will have some fruit. It will reach a certain point of understanding. So there. Let us be clear about this.
Yeah, it's very difficult to know the. Well, for me personally, I think about I'm trying to rely on my intuition more, but it's a very subtle. I find it very, very subtle of whether something is correct or not, and I'm still don't feel competent to say, oh, that's a definite yes or that's a definite no. I just get more of a, well, this maybe feels more correct than the other option.
And you are the majority of humans.
Mm-hmm.
Attitude is the majority, and that's who you speak for. You don't speak for the weirdos or the non-believers. You speak for somewhere in the middle. They might believe, they might not. They don't know where they belong. You are representing the masses.
And does that attunement, let's say, change over time as you become, say, more exposed to this energy, or how does, yes?
Of course, because you are then more in the flow of information, and you easily slip in and out of situations, and you start to notice, oh, that's funny. I had this quickening of my heart. I had sweating in my palm. I had a quick headache. When you start noticing all your body reactions to energy, so first the energy is putting something deep inside of you that's recognized, and the energy pushes itself out into the body. Notice. That's the good thing about the body. The energy can poke at it and it will jump, feel hot, cold, something like this. So then there will be a relationship built between energy and your physical body, and you will start to become one. So most humans are very separate with their energetic higher self and the physical body. They've had to separate, usually through traumatic childhoods, so they're not together. So they travel side by side and not incorporated together. They're not familiar with one another. If you are familiar with one another, and as you grow more familiar and incorporate into one, you will naturally your intuition will become more a part of you. So when something is evoked within you and you get a sharp pain, you'll decide where, but perhaps right above your eye, you'll say, oh, that's something I'm supposed to notice. You're starting to have a relationship with your energetic self and your physical self. So as they get to know one another, there'll be some quirks and weird things happening, but that's absolutely the way it's supposed to be when two strangers are coming together. You can remember in an intimate relationship when the two of you were new together. You were still uncovering small details about one another. You weren't sure if this would be good or bad. You're a little nervous, all of this. This is the way your body and your spiritual self are going to get to know one another. But as it becomes safe for both, they will stay together. If it becomes unsafe again and some traumatic event splits you up, then they'll recede back to their corners. But as the place is made forward easily for them, come on out. I'm interested to know what you're thinking. I notice I have this feeling in my body. All of these things make for a safe playground. So they become incorporated together. And this is really your first act in humanity, is bringing your physical and your spiritual self together within a body.
Mm.
And then once that is reasonably complete, then you'll be more comfortable going out because you'll understand you always have a safe place to come back to. So then you may leave and explore the universes and see what's what and peek around other humans. And then you'll have a place to come back to. Always the place, the home, the foundation must be secure. So this is important for humans, and it's very easy because all you have to do is notice. What's this? What's that? At first, it's a little tiring because you have to do it all of the time at first, because you have neglected to do it so many times. And we're not speaking of just you, we're speaking of all of you. You've
Mm.
neglected it for so much time that it needs a little bit of extra attention at first. Just like a small baby. A baby, of course, needs a lot of attention at first. But once the baby is an adult, you don't have to watch it all of the time. It just goes about its own life. And this will be the same way. So as your spiritual and physical self come together, they will start to enjoy one another and play. So you'll have an intuitive thought, I should go running through the rain. And your body will say, yeah, let's do that. Then they will be one and they will go and have fun together. They'll explore the world. Most of the time, these are so far apart, they're not even good friends, they're just acquaintances. So as they become good friends, then they will become the best of friends. Then you'll be free to live a total spiritual life in a human body, for one will influence the other and back and forth. The physical body will say, I don't want to. I want to lie down flat. So then the spiritual body will say, oh, that's a good idea. I'll realign you as we rest here energetically. You see? They'll work together. But it is a remembering for the human body, for the humans, that you jumped into a human body. So it's time to work together as one. When you're not in physical, you're just the energy itself. So that's fine. But when you're here, it's time to recall why you're here. You're here because you wish to join in the physical dance of life. So your energetic self has come to play and dance with the physical body, if possible. This is your highest physical enjoyment is singing and dancing and being free to move your body whichever way you like without judgment of yourself or worry of others judging you. This is then you're free. You're free to do whatever you wish, and you may incorporate both the physical and the spiritual in a daily joyful life. And this is truly what you all came for. But there's a lot of stumbling blocks that were created from the beginning breath to now. And sometimes those things must be swept away. And oftentimes you don't get back to the joyful singing and dancing part of life. Many pass and finish their lives here in great distress and turmoil and live the whole lives that way and leave in the same way. But you who are listening and interested in this exchange can remember now. You can recall now what you were like when you were excited to jump into the human body. It's never too late for this if you come into this vibration, and if your mind and heart is open to believe such things, or feel energetically or be moved by this energy. You'll remember yourself. It's not just this human speaking of this singing and dancing business. It's something that lies deep within the heart of each human that exists there.
And I was thinking yesterday, I've been thinking about taking a course this week that is connecting with divine energy. And I thought, well, maybe I'll bring that up of whether I should do the course. But yesterday, I just got this really strong impulse that I should sign up for this. So I went ahead and registered for it. And then, I was thinking, well, I wonder how much of that influence is just ego. So you would like something to happen. In my case, I'd like to develop a skill or an ability to do something. And maybe that's just the egoic side of things, saying, wanting to be something more than I am right now. And I, how do you differentiate between responding to the desire of the ego versus something that's much more subtle, like the higher self?
So have you noticed that you have noticed you have an ego? This for you is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful information, and it is embraced in acknowledging your human side. You've stepped back and looked at yourself and your life and your decision. So you have removed yourself. Do you understand what we mean? You have removed yourself to consider such a thing as this. Is this my ego? Is this my intuition? What is going on here? So that is another part of you that's speaking. So as the other part of you that's watching over and wondering and speaking, this is your highest self. This is your energetic self looking in without any attachment. Do you understand this? This is important for you yet. You're not quite getting it. So even that you can consider is this ego or intuition without a great attachment to either response. You don't have an energetic attachment to either. You're just curious and you're questioning it. That means there's another part of you outside looking in at these two options.
Okay.
There's another you. There's another level of you that's able to look in without an ego or attached to it. And this is your highest self watching. So this experiment is not about, is this my ego or my intuition? This is about, I'm able to step outside and look at my life. And as you step outside, this is your highest spiritual loving self who has no judgment on human behavior. Come, go, it doesn't matter. Dance, stay home, go, just live, make decisions and live. But another part of you is watching over your life. Do you feel this? Do you understand what we are speaking of here?
Intellectually, I can understand it, but I have no sensation of it.
So a part of you is very human and it weighs things. Is this good? Is this bad? What part of you is weighing, is this good or is this bad? Another level of you. Because if it were not, you would be in weighing it like this. Oh, this is pretty heavy. That's lighter. This is heavy. There's another part of you outside looking in.
Okay.
You'll have to believe us now.
Yeah.
Eventually, this will become a part of your way of being. You'll start to notice, who's that watching this? Who's that outside wondering if this is ego or not? Who is that? It's me. It's my spiritual self standing outside, not attached to the outcome. For your spiritual self really doesn't get excited, angry, or anything. It doesn't really matter what you do. It watches. It watches as you live your life. Okay. This is you. This is not something. This is not a third party. This is a part of you that travels through your life together, and it watches over you.
Right. Okay.
So this is truly, really what's going on here. It doesn't really matter. You can't do anything wrong as you investigate things in your life. How wonderful is that? Life is about investigating. Following intuition, how wonderful is that? Great. How could there be anything wrong at all with the story that you have told? And yet it's really not about the story at all. It's about the recognizing the story is unfolding and you don't mind which way it goes. Part of you is just in it for the fun. And as you start to recognize who's watching all of this business, you'll start to see that part that's watching is very joyful because it doesn't really matter. Oh boy, we're going to try something new, are we? That's great. They don't say it's, oh, that's good, that's bad, oh, how terrible. That's human. You can tell by the judgment. Oh, I don't know about that now. That's human. But, oh boy, what fun we're going to have. I wonder what's going to happen when we show up for this place. That's childlike joy. That's your beginning self. That's your spiritual self. And it always wishes to have fun, any opportunity that comes along, because it's interested in your human life and what can unfold during each human life. Many, many things can unfold. And you're taking along your spiritual self just for the ride.
Okay, that's wonderful. I thought about it just as a different looking at it with just a different like mental lens, but there's obviously more to that story. So that's great. You talked earlier about belief. Can you talk a little bit about how belief affects one's interpretation or a connection maybe with the higher self, developing a higher self connection?
Are you able to say that more clearly?
Okay, so is belief must you believe in something in order for it to manifest, like to create a connection, or is it something that can happen on its own and then create the belief because it's happened?
You noticed how the second time you got it. Did you notice? The second time, as you spoke more clearly, you came to understand things happen and then you notice. You don't have to believe in it for it to happen. It's going to happen. It's whether or not you notice it, whether or not you're going to get into the flow to see, oh, I see this thing's going to unfold. You don't have to believe it's happened, but you have to be curious to show up and be part of it. So, for instance, you have a belief that there's going to be a very fast boat racing down the river. Now, if you don't show up to see if there's a boat racing down the river, you're not going to be involved in it at all. So it doesn't matter if you sit in your house and believe that a red boat is going to race down the river. But if you're curious and you have this sort of intuition, something wonderful is going to happen, something exciting that I must witness, then you're going to show up because you're excited, you're motivated, and you're wondering, wonder if that's going to work or not. So you show up beside the river and here comes the racing red boat. Now, you didn't make the boat race like that, or you didn't make it show up, but you were curious about it and you got into the stream of, you call it consciousness, but it's a stream of life. Life is just flowing along like this river, and sometimes you notice it, sometimes you don't. And if you notice it and you see the red boat's way back here, you're going to know, oh, that red boat's going to show up far ahead too, because it's where I understand it's right here. And now it will show up again because I know in an easy way, life's just unfolding, just like this boat floating down the river. Eventually it starts at one end, it ends up at the other. So easy like this, you show up to witness that which brings you joy. That's not exactly what you are trying to get at, but what you're trying to get at is, can you believe something and make it happen? Were not meant to be. If it were not meant to be, no amount of belief or thinking about something is going to make it happen because it's not correct. It's not in the river. It's not in the flow of things. It's not to the highest benefit for everyone. It's just a human trying to do something to prove a point, and that's egotistical. So if it's not in the river of life, no matter how much you try to make it and force a certain outcome that's not at all good for you or others, it's not going to be. But as you get into the flow, you'll naturally come to understand things and you'll see them happening as if you, not to create the thing. You can't say, I want a red boat to show up in the river. Really, no. But if you say, that's weird. I see there's a boat here. It's going to float down there. It's probably going to pass by. It would be beautiful for me to see. I wonder if there's something else there for me. I think I'll show up because you never know. There could be another human being who knew the red boat was coming. And they would say, just wait, what I know this thing's coming. And you'll say, that's weird. They know too. And I know. And now we have a curiosity together. You just don't know what's going to show up when you show up. This is the surprise and the magic of life. You show up because you're moved to do so. Just as this situation that you have mentioned. As you show up to this event, you don't know who's there. You don't know why you're there, what you're going to meet. You might not be anything at all about the topic, but it might be something else. Someone else might overhear you talking about it. Someone else might overhear someone else who knows you, who knows them, who knows. You just don't know what's going to happen. So you show up in anticipation of something wonderful, perhaps not the result that is promised, but something is intriguing here. There's something of interest to me. I just don't know what it is. So you show up in curiosity and keep your eyes open. See what's going to happen around you. Same situation as the red boat. You show up for this event, keep your eyes open in your natural childlike curiosity, which you're pretty good at, and see what unfurls. If you totally focus on, I want the results that are promised to me, you'll miss the magic. You'll miss everything that's truly happening, and you'll think it's the end result. That's what I put money for. I want the end result like this. This is your ego, this part. But if you show up in curiosity, who knows what's going to happen? All kinds of fun things may unfold. So your ego
No.
can slip in easily, even when there's a good intentioned event. Ego can ruin many, many things. Much like the red boat, you saw it coming, someone else showed up, and all of a sudden you'll say with your big mouth, I knew that because I created it. Then the magic is gone, you see. Then the egos come back out. Your ego prefers to come out. It loves to get in the middle of your life and pretend that it has made your life, made you where you are. That's why you're so wonderful, blah, blah, blah. Your ego, your mind always wishes to come out and play like this. It's not really playing, it's taking charge of your life and taking responsibility for anything good that happens. It's not fond of taking responsibility for bad things, but if good things happen, your ego will say, I did that. So always be mindful and watchful of the ego when it pops out, because it can pop out in the middle of most intimate, loving situation. Your ego will just pop out. That's just something to watch and be mindful of.
And is ego associated with the actual human, like the human life, that for that specific time? I'm relating this to a comment you made in the last session, where when we leave the mind and the ego behind, and just the spirit carries on. So that got me thinking about, well, if you're leaving your mind, then the things you've learned through book learning, as you would say, would be forgotten and would not be carried forward, I would think, if you've left the mind behind. And similarly, if you're like, say, in one life you could be very egotistical, and the next life you might be very humble. So is ego a function of I'm just wondering about how ego relates to the whole life experience, I think, that you have. So is ego tied to the body and the life in some way that's beyond random?
The ego and the mind are together. We say ego and mind because it's important for you to understand and put them in this category. They are together. They are to keep you alive. So in order for a small one, when you're starting to learn about this mind and ego, the small ones come in just your spirit. There's no ego yet involved. But as the mind and ego get to notice things before you're able to speak, you're looking around and you're thinking, you're learning. So you're saying, oh, if I act like that, I get this. If I act like that, I get this. Oh, if I act like that, bad things happen. So you're studying when you're a small one. Your ego. So your ego's and your brain is gathering the information. When this happens, that happens, and your ego's attaching emotion to it. That is very good. That is very bad. Ooh, this is very good. This is very bad. So your mind and ego must always be thought of as one entity. And their purpose is to help you stay alive. So in order for you to stay alive, and your ego attaches and be successful, your mind just wants to learn things. I must learn that. I must learn how to feed myself in case there's no one here to give me food. I must learn how to add because someday I will be having a job where I have to make money. All of this is a brain, just like this. But the ego attaches, but if I do very good with the adding, I will get a very prestigious job. And if I were to learn how to cook very well, I will be welcomed into the world, and they will have more need for me. I'll be more useful. So the ego attaches this to the mind. The mind just gathers because it must. So the ego then leads you down these other roads. Now, there's a complication with the ego. So this is very simplistic. The way we are referring to it, you would think everything that the ego says is true, but yet not accepted by certain people in the world who wish to live a balanced, higher life. It makes it sound like the ego is the enemy of these spiritual beings. But in the truest sense, they are just another part of you that's getting you to survive. So there's this pull forward. You might be more successful. You might be more liked. This pulls you forward in your life. So you live another day. Oh, we might be better next time. We might be better next time. It pulls you forward. But the brain just sits and gathers. The ego pulls you forward in life. So you have a reason to live. All right. So that's the mind, that's the ego pulling you forward. But there's a reverse of the ego that is also ego. And it's sometimes many spiritual people fall into the opposite ego, false ego. We'll call it false ego, lower ego. It is. We are better than those who strive to make money and very good food so others will like them. We are better because we are not concerned with this. This is the opposite ego and yet the same, for it drives them forward to live. I live a better life. I live a spiritual life. I don't care about money. It pulls them forward in the same way. So the ego says, come on, one more step of humility. Come on, you can again eat no food today and then you'll be better than them. Come forward, come forward. You see, the ego pulls humans forward. The brain gathers information. There's false ego, there's high ego, there's low ego. They're all ego and they're all getting you to move forward. So none is, and the judging of others is the same as the striving for more that you can never attain. You really can't get everything in the world, but there's a certain ego that wishes to have everything and another ego that wishes to have nothing, and yet they're the same. Opposite, but yet the same. So you might as well make friends with your ego, because no matter where you are in human life, it's going to be part of your existence there. So your mind and ego will be following you all along. All you have to do is notice, oh, that sounds like my ego right there. I wonder if it is. That's all, just easy like this. Not more judgment on top of the ego, because that's what the ego wants. The ego wants more judgment, higher or lower, wants to know that you noticed it. And then it will be bigger and bigger and bigger. But if you just notice it in an easy way, oh, I see that. It's probably the ego talking. Easy like this, then it's just going about its usual business day to day. Your mind and ego will follow you all of your human days. It will not go with you afterwards, because if your ego is truly around to keep you alive and pull you forward one more inch forward, when you're done, there's no need for your ego because you've completed your time. So the brain and the ego disappear. Now, some of the energy that has been gotten, some of the emotional relationships, or the strong energy, if you invented something, if you created such passion with another human, those are energy and they stay floating around. This makes it sound like it's a cartoon, but the energy, strong energy, stays around, and this can exist, but not the mind and ego. It is finished when your body is complete.
That's interesting. I'm thinking about when you were talking about kind of negative ego. I think about the Buddha came to mind, that he was of royal blood, yet gave up all his basically gave up worldly possessions, and traveled life as a minimalist, if you want to call it that. And I mean, it's an approach, and I kind of reflected on that for like, well, if that's supposed to be the nerve, like what you're trying to attain, it didn't really resonate with me that that's the path that made sense for me for what I would want to do in life.
We must clarify here what you're speaking of. So it is not all spiritual beings have a negative ego, and not all humans have a high ego. Some are in the middle somewhere. They come and go, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We spoke of the two extremes. So not all spiritual beings have this ego that they are better than those who are superior or look superior in real life. The real point here is to live this life of ease where you notice, Oh, that's probably my ego. That's probably my brain. Let's just skip along easily through the middle. So we don't wish to say that all spiritual beings are wrong, nor all materialistic beings are wrong. There's no way to say all of that because there's no way to know the motives of all human beings. But for the most ease of life, and this energetic exchange is you are interested in having a life of ease and more substance, more meaningful, as if you're forgotten something and you're trying to remember it. That's what this energetic exchange is about, reminding you of that which is just beyond your fingertips. And that's why we are having these exchanges. These are all things you already know, but we wish to clarify that they're neither one are good or bad, but you yourself and those you represent wish to live somewhere in the middle.
Well, I think about that in if earlier comments you made that all humans are perfect as they are, and that you need a variety of different humans to make the world go round, as it were. So yeah, it's I wrestle with that because it's like, for me, I feel like I want to progress myself and do the best possible job. It's kind of like, I don't know, anything else. You want to look back and say, well, I did as best as I possibly could in that circumstance. But then there's a certain ambition that comes in with that you're trying to strive to do what you need to do to be better.
Yes, as if you wouldn't be that naturally. That's the problem with that statement. That statement is the ego involved. I want to look back and know I did a good job. You're implying there that you wouldn't naturally do a good job unless you focus the attention on it. You see? So it's a bit of a trap. It's implying you're not a decent, loving, spiritual being. It implies you're not that, you're lower than that, and you have to try very hard to be good. Well, really, you're pretty good the way you are. This is what we mean. All humans are doing what they can at the moment where they find themselves in the world, and that's why you're all absolutely fine. You don't have to try to be good, try to be bad. You just have to be what you are at the moment, because that's all you've got. You've only got this moment. And perhaps you're perfect the way you are at this moment, because perhaps that's all you'll ever have.
True. Okay. You talked about trying, trying to remember what we already know, and that we talked about classroom scenarios in the last recording, but you've made this reference a few times to this is a remembering. We're not learning something new; it's a remembering. I just wondered, I've heard of the concept of downloads, where you're getting an information download. Now, I'm getting this out of like hypnotic work and other types of experiences I've been in, where we'll get an energetic download. For me, it just causes me to kind of click out, like in a meditation, let's say. I'll click out, where I'll fall asleep essentially, but not be completely asleep, because I come back to awareness when the meditation is completed. And I was told through other people that that's an energetic download happening, just that the body can't handle the amount of energy at once. So it clicks out while the energy is processed. Is that something that makes sense, is resonating?
Does that make sense to you?
It does, because I don't know why do I fall asleep and yet not be completely asleep when whoever's leading a meditation counts the group back in. I'm fully aware, but I
So
have no recollection of what's happened in the interim.
So when you speak of a download, you are implying outside information is coming into you
Yes.
or through you.
Uh,
It might not be
I don't know
maybe.
the significance of either. So it's coming to me somehow. Well, I don't know whether through or in. I don't know.
And why would some human need a download? Is there something wrong with you as you are?
Well, this is, upgrading information. This goes, I guess, with the philosophy of we're coming here to learn and to improve, and some of this information, um, this energetic, call it an energetic upgrade, if you will, goes in
And
line with
why,
it.
and let us continue. Why would you wish to be upgraded? Is there anything wrong with you as you are?
Well, this is where your teachings differ from the majority of other teachings in the metaphysical world, because everything else I've read and other people I talk to say we come to here to into this life to learn, to have experiences, but also to learn and evolve our understanding and evolve ourselves through those experiences. So it's the bumpy road, bumps in the road, if you will, that are the most valuable things because they cause you to learn rather
Now,
than having a life of peace and ease where nothing happens and you wouldn't learn anything from it. It would be a relatively pointless life, if you will.
yes. Now, of course, life is always full of bumps, and that's the reason you're coming into human to see what you can get into. There's something not correct about receiving uploads, downgrades, whatever all of these words are you have, because they're implying information outside of you must be entered into you. Now, where is this information coming from? Why do you need it? How do you know if you want it or not? You see, there's something incorrect about this thought process or this belief system, that there's something wrong with you, that you're outdated, you needed to be updated, as if there's something wrong with you. The philosophy that is being presented here in this energetic exchange is you are perfect the way you are because it's all you've got. You, of course, have bumps, and you dance sometimes, you cry, you fight, all of this. That's your human experience. Of course, that's the way you live your life. That is just a human life. That must be as it is. But for you to insinuate there's something missing inside of you that someone else holds the key and the answer to, puts yourself in a very vulnerable position of making someone else your God or your savior, your the one who saves you, the one who knows more than you. So you are surrendering yourself to something unknown. And this is an old human pattern. It was when you were a small one and when you were in school, you had to submit to authority. So this pattern is within you. And now you have sort of taken the same pattern, not just you specifically, because you don't do this, but other humans have taken the pattern of there's something I know that you do not know, and you must be quiet and receive it because I am superior to you. I'll hand it to you if you're deserving of it. So that's an old pattern done over and over 1,000,000,000,000 times for humans. So now, as an older human, someone is using the same pattern to imply that there's something you need to receive from them. We are saying everything you need to know, you have access to yourself. You don't need to ask outside influences to give you anything, to make you better, to upgrade you. All of these words that you're using are all powerful and powerless positions. As you listen to this again, you'll understand what I
Yeah.
mean. One is superior and one is inferior, which is absolutely incorrect. All humans are doing what they can at the moment that they live. And every human being has access to information, all information that there is. Now, here's the part you must pay attention to. Some have no access to directly to source because they've been too broken. They've been too remembered or come to incorporate into their lives all the negative things people have said about them. So they believe, not they're not capable, they believe they're not capable of reaching the source. These humans need others as the doorway, as the access point to source. These humans, and this is what you're referring to, they're humans who show up as the middleman, the middle person. They show up to say, all right, those of you who think you're inferior, come to me, I know. All right? and this is absolutely incorrect. This is the human ego with this human. If this person is a channel, all that will happen is the information flows through the channel to the other person. So there will be no uploading, downloading, or any of this information. There will only be this wide open space where love and information flows through one human to the lesser human. Not, they're not really lesser. They feel themselves lesser. Now, this human being in the middle person, the channel, whatever they are, how do the lower human beings know which ones are the middle people, which ones they can trust to get the energy through? They will know this intuitively by looking at the human in their eyes and their face. They will know when a human is of peace. All humans are attracted to humans who are of peace. They are attracted to those with authority and power as well for different reasons. But this, when they're looking for spiritual peace, they are drawn to those who they will trust and channel through. And this channel, this middle person, all they do is open up the space for the information to flow through. So, having said all of this, when you say upgrade and download, these words are human words. Perhaps what you mean to say is something different, but you and many others like you are now using these terms, these words in your human evolution, in your life there. You're using these words of power, which are not absolutely correct. So this turned into a very big discussion, but it's important to understand no one will teach you anything. If you're able to access the information within yourself and with your source straight up, that's the best way. If you're not, then you'll be looking for these middle people who exude peace and love and kindness, and you must check it in with your own heart to see, is there something passing through this person that I will receive that will calm my heart, that I will feel at peace and ease with after, that I will be changed with. I will feel calm. I will not feel anxious or inferior or superior or anything. I will feel at ease and I will be able to take a big breath. I will know truth then. This is how you know the middle people, which is what you're speaking of, these teachers. These are the middle people representing.
And that's what I thought this person was, one of those middle people who it was her high self that was bringing this information through. So
Perhaps it's the wording that you have used.
perhaps, yeah.
But there are many middle people these days, and there are many channelers. So it is important to note and notice how it is you feel after. Do you feel connected to source? Do you feel more at ease with your own being? Did you settle into your physical body? Did you become one with your higher self and your body? Did they become one? Are you more, can you breathe more freely? Are you more easy moving through the world? These are the signs that you have been with a channeler or middle person of source. If you're not able to do it yourself, if you're able to do it yourself, just go ahead and do it. But we are speaking only of those who have no access to, we must be precise here. Everyone has access to their higher self and their source, but some believe they do not, that they're not allowed to. And those are the humans that seek out the middle people.
Okay. That's a great explanation. Thank you. No, such wonderful insights. We'll perhaps call it a day there because that was a lot of information. That's about an hour. Thank you very much.
Let us do namaste together.
Yes, please. Namaste. What? Went in a direction I wasn't expecting, but we just kind of went with it.
Okay, that was pretty amazing stuff there.
Yeah, they all, there seems to be, well, maybe as we're understanding it more, it gets, let me shut off.